Hey guys, today I will be taking a look at the JHK forecast for the 2020 presidential election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, where currently Joe Biden has an 84.3% chance of winning this election in November to President Trump, who has a just 15.7% chance of winning his re-election. And the chances of a Trump victory and an upset is just 1 in 6. That is just how small Trump has, that's just how small the chances that Trump has of winning this election. And this is very similar to the numbers that Trump saw in 2016, but he was still able to pull off a victory. However, what is different this time around is that these percentages have adjusted for President Trump's victory in 2016. He might have only had a 15% chance of winning last time, even less than 10% in some forecasts, but he was still able to win. But this time around, he's in a much worse position this time around than he was in 2016, as all pollsters and all forecasts have made adjustments for President Trump being able to win last time. And at the beginning of this campaign, President Trump was expected to win this election. He did have a higher chance on the betting odds. I think that most forecasts still did give the edge to Joe Biden. However, some forecasts did give Trump the victory, and Trump was expected to win based on betting, as well as most people did think that President Trump was going to win this election. However, right now, after all these recent events, after the COVID-19 pandemic has basically still not ended, after the racial tensions that we've seen all across the country, and after just many of these events had really affected this election, the appointment of Amy Coney Barrett, or the nomination of her to the Supreme Court, has definitely not helped Trump out. He did pretty bad in the first debate. Most voters that were not Republican voters that really did support President Trump very much did agree that Joe Biden did win that first presidential debate, and we saw in the polls, just like we saw yesterday, Joe Biden surged in the polls after the first debate, and then with Trump getting COVID-19 and the messages that he has been sending after that, really has not been helping his campaign. And I think that President Trump is just making all the wrong moves. He's pulled the ads out of Iowa and Ohio again. He barely has any ad presence in North Carolina, Georgia, North Florida, or even Arizona. So Donald Trump's campaign is losing money, he's losing support, he's just losing all across the board. That's very concerning for the Trump campaign. And so this is the same electoral map plotted down here. So 351 electoral votes for Joe Biden to just 187 for President Trump. As you can see, the close states are what we expect them to be. North Carolina, Georgia, tilt states for Joe Biden, Ohio, and Iowa, tilt states for President Trump. Joe Biden is actually leading in all 4 of these states on RCP: Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, and Iowa. All 4 of these states went to President Trump by a pretty good margin: 4% in North Carolina, 6% in Georgia, 8% in Ohio, and 9% in Iowa. These states were both pretty strong and have been pretty strong for the Republican Party in the past decade. Iowa and Ohio did go to Barack Obama in 2012. However, they swung over 10 points to the right in 2016. So they have become pretty solid states in the Republican column. However, in 2020, Donald Trump is expected to lose in all of these states, or at least 2 of them. And these 2 states are definitely not a sure thing for President Trump. He only has a 53% chance of winning the state of Ohio and a 55% chance of winning the state of Iowa. A state that he won by almost 10% 4 years ago is now one of the closest states in this election. Texas, a state that has not gone to a Democrat since 1976, Donald Trump has only a 65% chance of winning. Arizona, a state that Bill Clinton was the last to win, 72% chance that Biden is going to flip this state as well. Wisconsin, Joe Biden, 85%. Michigan, 89%. And then Pennsylvania, 85%. And then what's pretty surprising is Florida, 70% chance of going to Joe Biden. Now, as we said earlier, this is the state that Donald Trump desperately needs. He has to win Florida. If he's going to win this election, he's going to have to win all of these 2 states, Iowa and Ohio. Then it's going to be followed by the state of Georgia. He's going to have to win Georgia. He's going to have to win North Carolina. These 2 states, I mean, he can definitely win these 2 states in my opinion. Honestly, I can see it going both ways in just these 2 states. But Florida, as of right now, I don't think is going to go to the president. But let's say he wins this state as well. This would be his next step. Then he would have to win the state of Arizona, which would be the next state that he could win on this map, which is very, very unlikely at this point. Then he would have to win Pennsylvania if he wants to win the election. This would be the next state that President Trump would win based on the polling data. But let's say he doesn't win Pennsylvania. If he wins Wisconsin, he would have to win the state of Michigan as well to get over 270 electoral votes, or he would have to win both the 2nd District of Nebraska and Maine. Maine I currently do have in the Biden column because I do think that the former Vice President will flip the 2nd District of Maine back into Democratic control, but the 2nd District of Nebraska is basically gone right now for President Trump. And, even in Wisconsin, Joe Biden is expected to win by a pretty substantial margin, at least a lean margin, maybe even a likely margin on election night. And then Arizona, Joe Biden is expected to win with a lean margin basically this entire election cycle. And let's say that Joe Biden wins the state of Florida. If Joe Biden wins Florida, this is not going to happen. If Joe Biden wins Florida, he's going to win the election. I can promise you that. But let's say Trump wins Arizona as well. Let's say he even wins the state of Pennsylvania. And then let's say he wins Wisconsin. So he would have to win basically every other state that is a toss-up state on this electoral map if he does not win Florida. As long as Biden wins Florida, he's going to win the election. He'll have to win basically all of them except for one of these states. So that's not going to happen. Donald Trump's not going to win Michigan at this point unless he really does something substantial. Really don't know what he could really do at this point in the race. I think he just has to consolidate his support and hope that they come out for him in states like Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia. Florida, he would definitely have to win again. Arizona, he would have to win, and then he would have to break through the Rust Belt like he did in 2016. So, 2016, it didn't look like he would be able to do it, but this time it looks like he has an even smaller chance because, yes, polls have adjusted, and they are going to be much more accurate than they were in 2016. And, the national polls really weren't too far off, and really no polls were actually wrong because the race was just so close. States like North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, the races were intensely close. Arizona was very close. Michigan, Pennsylvania were all pretty close, and Trump's victory were within the margin of error. So it's not that the polls were wrong, they were just swung a little bit to the left, and Donald Trump definitely did have a chance of winning. The only state that Clinton was supposed to win, that President Trump had basically a 0% chance of winning, or less than 5%, I believe that's what the margin of error is. State of Wisconsin, President Trump was down over 6% in the state. He won it by 0.7% on election night, the state of Wisconsin. So that was really the only state on this entire electoral map that was wrong in 2016. This time in 2020, Joe Biden's doing twice as well in Pennsylvania. He's doing much better in Michigan. He's actually leading in Arizona this time around. Clinton was down in Arizona. He is doing much better than Trump was doing in 2016 in the state of Florida. He's doing better than basically candidates since the last candidate that was able to do this well in North Carolina in the polls was Barack Obama. He's doing better in North Carolina. He's doing much better in Georgia than Clinton was. So these numbers are all very favorable for Joe Biden. He's also leading in the state of Ohio, and Trump was leading here by around 3 to 4 points on election night. So he's doing very well in Ohio as well. On RCP, he's even leading in the state of Iowa, which I think is just absolutely crazy. State of Iowa not going to go to Joe Biden, but still very good numbers, 351 electoral votes. That's definitely a very positive sign for the Biden campaign. And then taking a look down here at the national overview, Joe Biden currently expected to win an average of 343 electoral votes. This is lower from the projection here, but so that's just an 8 electoral vote difference. Donald Trump 195 is his average, not even breaking the 200 electoral vote mark. And of course, the popular vote, 52% for Joe Biden. He would be able to win a majority like Barack Obama did. Clinton was not able to do this. Donald Trump 44.2% of the vote. Joe Jorgensen at 2.3%, Howie Hawkins 1.2%. So taking a look at the ever-changing race for the White House, this is basically a graph showing how this race has changed. As you can see, the chances of winning the White House, Joe Biden is now at his peak this entire period, 84.3%. He was never able to hit 84%, even when he peaked in the months of July and August. As you can see, when Joe Biden was expected to win the nomination after Super Tuesday in early March, Donald Trump had a 41% chance of victory. That has since dwindled all the way down to 15%. As you can see, on the 29th of September, Joe Biden 81% chance, Trump 19. Now it has become basically Biden 84, Trump just 15. And taking a look at the popular vote margin expected, as you can see, a pretty similar race here. As you can see, Donald Trump was always expected to lose the popular vote. However, he is now expected to lose the popular vote by a larger margin than he was at the beginning of this race, by literally 8.1% against Joe Biden. And if he loses the popular vote by 8.1%, he might have lost it last time and still won the election, but he only lost it by 2% last time. This time around, if he loses by over 8%, there is no way that Trump can Trump can make up for that in terms of his electoral vote count and just how the Electoral College is skewed to favor the right. And then the electoral votes, as you can see, Same story here, pretty close. Joe Biden expected to win at just 294 in early March, so that would not even cross 300 electoral votes. And then he was expected to win, 340. Yeah, I don't think he ever reached 350 on this forecast, but 340 at the beginning, when he started to peak in July and June, and then now all the way up to 343 electoral votes. It is similar to what he saw in the months of June and August, as well as this month of July. So this is all very good for Joe Biden. Taking a look at the race at 270, these are the states that Joe Biden needs and doesn't need. So as you can see, he does not need Georgia, does not need North Carolina, does not need Florida, the third largest state. He does not need Arizona, does not need the 2nd District of Nebraska, nor does he need Pennsylvania. Well, actually, no, he doesn't need Pennsylvania, but that could easily be switched out with another one of these states. So he can lose literally 4 states and 2 districts that he is not expected to win, or that he is expected to win, and still win the election. Sorry, I can't talk today. I don't know why, but Joe Biden is just doing so well. Basically, what Joe Biden needs to do, and what basically all candidates are trying to do, is just giving themselves more and more pathways to victory. It's all about those pathways to victory for Joe Biden right now. As you can see, he has so many different pathways to victory. He's leading in basically every single state that is highlighted on this map as blue. He leads in all of them. So he can literally lose Arizona, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and still win the election. He can also lose Wisconsin as well and still win the election. So there's just so many different ways for Joe Biden to win the election. President Trump expected to win Ohio, Iowa, Texas, and then all of these really safe Republican states. Even South Carolina isn't safe anymore. A state that went to Trump by literally 14.4%. Alaska, basically the same margin, now not even solid for Donald Trump, just +8, and +6.8 in South Carolina. That would be a lean state. That would be horrible for the GOP in South Carolina. Of course, Lindsey Graham is doing pretty horribly in the C2 against Jamie Harrison. So South Carolina is crumbling a little bit for the GOP, but I think it's definitely going to still vote for the Republican candidates. And then this is just another electoral map based on the bubbles. It's basically sizes of electoral votes. So as you can see, of course, California is the largest, and then followed by Texas, New York, Florida, and then Illinois. So taking a look at all of these states, Joe Biden expected to win by 7.8%. So this is the percentage chance of victory, not the percentage chance of just winning. This is the margin that Joe Biden is expected to have. Michigan 7.8, Wisconsin 6.7, Pennsylvania 6.6, Florida 2.9, Georgia 0.5, it's North Carolina 1.8. This is all pretty interesting to take a look at. North Carolina 1.8, that's a pretty large percentage chance of victory for Joe Biden in a state like North Carolina. Ohio 0.5 for Trump, Iowa 0.8, Texas just 2.4%, a state that was solid for the GOP just 8 years ago with Mitt Romney, and then state of Florida 2.9%. That's a pretty large margin, one of the largest margins we've seen basically in the entire century at this point. State of Florida 2.9%, and then the tipping points, these are basically the closer states, essentially is what this is, and one of these states is going to get Joe Biden or Donald Trump over 270 electoral votes. So as you can see, the state with the highest chance of being the tipping point is, of course, the state of Florida, 18.1% chance. So that's why Florida is just so important. But Joe Biden expected to win by 2.9%. Pennsylvania, 6.6, as we saw again. So basically, these are all of the most likely tipping points. So Pennsylvania, the Michigan, Wisconsin, the 3 Rust Belt states forming the blue wall, as well as Arizona, of course, another state that has been shifting to the left, and then North Carolina, Minnesota, Georgia. So these states, I don't think Texas, New Hampshire, Colorado, Ohio are going to be the tipping point. But it's interesting to take a look at all of this. Joe Biden doing very well in New Hampshire, plus 16%. And then, Joe Biden expected to win the 2nd District of Nebraska, as well as the 2nd District of Maine down here, plus 1.6. And so, that is it for this video. This is the new updated JHK forecast. I think this shows some pretty interesting information that is all very positive for the Biden campaign. And definitely all they need to do is just continue to basically just continue this strategy for the White House, definitely pouring more money into states like North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, as well as making sure that they are solid in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona, of course. These 4 states are going to get Joe Biden over 270. He only needs to win 3 of them, but North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, basically like a barrier in case Joe Biden does surprisingly lose any of these other states. And then I think that with President Trump out now, the chances of a second debate occurring, I think, are a little bit larger. but I'm really not too sure. And of course, we have the first and only vice presidential debate today. Honestly, if you want to see more of a policy discussion and less of just two people screaming on stage, I do recommend that you guys watch this debate if you are still making up your mind on who to vote for. I think that this debate is going to be a lot better than the presidential debate, and that is, of course, today at 9 p.m. Eastern, and Pacific, that is 6 p.m. So I'm going to be watching that, of course, and so yeah, make sure you watch the debate. I think that it's going to be pretty informative this time around. And so yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below, subscribe to my channel if you have not, leave your thoughts in the comments below along with any suggestions for videos you'd like to see from me in the future, and I will see all of you guys tomorrow.